Well, I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see.
It looks something like this.
So I was expecting someone else.
Your life isn't over, it's just changed.
I feel like I'm losing everybody.
You're not supposed to be here. Oh, you disappoint me, boy.
I didn't join this show to get a new girlfriend, Daisy.
No, you don't talk to her that way, gringo.
He's making off with our deodorant.
You sure do ask a lot of questions for a supporting character.
Probably about junior high age, I was really into the art from the skateboarding culture, graffiti art. That was a style that I liked a lot, and I used to kind of draw that kind of stuff in my notebooks and have little doodles of that kind of stuff and a lot of characters and stuff like that. I wasn't necessarily gravitating towards textures and models, which is what I'm doing now, and environments. I actually first gravitated towards animation. I just had this one instructor and this one class that kind of changed everything. And he showed us just all these really cool texture techniques, and I just kind of fell in love with telling a story through texturing. And it kind of brought me back to that early art that I loved. And now I've been at High Moon Studios, and we've been working on really big projects such as Call of Duty games and Destiny 2. I would 3D model designs, sometimes that come from the concept department. Sometimes we would just get a photo and we would, make these realistic objects. The all-encompassing job is the environment art, which is placing all the rocks, the bushes, all the trees, everything, setting up the backgrounds. It's pretty fun to see stuff that you worked on and shows up in a game. Knowing that it's project-based, you kind of have to have your portfolio always ready. You have to make good connections. You can really tell when somebody pours their heart into a project. The industry changes so fast, and I think the important thing is to always keep learning. The only time that I see people get bored or get kind of outdated in the industry is when they just kind of get comfortable with their skill set and they just kind of are like, this is how I'm doing things all the time. I think one thing that made me and several other of my students successful is because we kind of just lived, breathed, and ate our craft for a while. If you want success, you got to just jump all the way in.
Wednesday, we got there and immediately we had transformed this conference room into a hospital in like half an hour, got everything set up how we wanted, and then we would basically just run through the day, kind of run through the script and the shot sheet.
I think the best way to describe how what we were going for visually is just uncomfortable, disorienting, creepy. Some of the things that we did, like from a technical perspective, I used a 14mm lens a lot, and it has like a warp on it, like a fisheye. So that right there already feels like odd because the human features get a little distorted if you get close enough. You know, we just played a lot like handheld and just felt a little shaky and uncomfortable the whole time.
On set, my duties involved a lot of keeping everyone on time and on track. And then it was my job to also handle any situations that came up. Like, for example, when our boom pole broke. The guy's like holding the boom pole and it's in pieces and like, we can't fix this. We don't have what we need to fix it. And I think it's broken. So luckily we were close enough to where we could just run over and get a new boom pole from the equipment room. But it was still one of those situations that I had to handle as the AD.
We were short on actors, so I had to jump in there too. And it was really crazy because I don't act either, but playing someone dead was kind of easy, sort of. So yeah, honestly, I was probably just being myself when I'm tired.
So we literally got our final actor like as we started shooting. But once we got everybody in costume and ready, and I kind of went through the script with them and talked about character and stuff, everybody did a really good job. Joe Graves was our lead actor, and he, again, I've worked with him a lot. And we've worked together as actors together, but I had never directed him before, and it was super fun. He did a really, really good job.
When it came to actual production, I was helping out with sound. I was the sound mixer, so like I made sure like everything was consistent and clear. When a cue would happen, I would also be thinking, all right, what kind of Foley do I need? Because when post-production comes, I need to mix that in. So being on set was also like, as an editor eyes, like making sure that like, all right, what do I need to add in here? What kind of effects need to go here?
There's one scene where we had to break the TV.
The TV was actually one of the fun parts, just because of the fact that I got to break stuff.
The funniest thing is how everyone was like, okay, we finally get to break a TV. And so it was like when we broke the TV, it's just there in like pieces and broken, and like, all right, well, let's throw it in the trash can. We're never gonna use it. And we threw it in the trash can, and then like on set, we're like, wait a minute, we need it back for one more shot.
I really liked how we all kind of like, we didn't really know each other, but we all came together.
I definitely learned a lot. We all have a strong determination to get this like project done and actually make it good, not just like to pass, but to actually make it good and bring this project alive.
The production was probably the smoothest I've been on in a very long time.
Whatever problems came at us, we just took it on together and battled it.
A big part of why it worked very well for our team is because we all felt like we had a voice in the story.
Oh man, everybody was so good. These are people I want to work with again.
I kind of feels like, okay, like we're actual adults now, gonna be working in the film industry. We gotta learn how to do this. Let's just, you know, work it out.
I think the biggest surprise, in a good way, was just working with this team that I never worked with before, because that was the biggest thing I was afraid of, and it turned out to just be awesome. Like, everyone just slayed, and I really, really loved working with people and discovering these talents that I didn't realize that they had.
Hi, my name is Elisa Litke.
And my name is Nicholas Pape.
And we are hosting the Senior Spotlight today.
Yeah, today we will be going through the 7, I believe, seniors showcase events that will be performing at the senior showcase.
We are going to be having a delay, and so we will be back on in 10 minutes at 1:20.
Is mine still going?
The second weekend was the dance, so we had to have a whole bunch of extras. And extras are a pain to get normally. These extras had to be taught how to swing dance.
Because the scene in the 1940s dance sequence is so crucial, we really wanted to nail that in every aspect of the production, but also the dancing, because we wanted to be swing, you know? So Anton Widener and Megan Geyer were our dance choreographers. Anton taught them how to dance, and it was a ton of fun.
So we had wanted to shoot in a hall in a park. We couldn't get that hall, so we were kind of scrambling around to find something. Professor Scoggins was just like, have you checked VFW? They let us come in, and like they were super nice, and they actually gave us the hall for free.
It gave us a chance just to get away from the compact shooting location of the house and just like spread out, do something completely different. And so that was, I think, in many ways it was the really fun day, because it was so different, and it was definitely the most ambitious in terms of set decoration and making it look right.
The dance hall, I just put up a lot of America, like everywhere, all over the place. Luckily it was close to the 4th of July, so all the stores had stuff for me anyway. And then it was just determining what they actually had in the 40s, what looked like the period. So using ribbons that were plastic, I couldn't do that rather than fabric, and put American flags everywhere, and also use that to cover up technology. So I had these little tiny flags that I put over like speakers in all of the corners, and then we had this giant one that covered a flat screen that was in the corner.
Josie and her husband are dancing around in a circle, and as they dance around, the camera goes around them as well. So that was a case of where set deck and all of that was on point, because we went in a full 360 around them and we saw the whole room, all the lights, everything. You looked around and it was like, it feels like I'm in like a 1940s like officers club, and just going around seeing all the lights, all the drinks on the tables, all the guys with their uniforms on. Like I knew all of them, but like with their uniforms on, and like some of them gotten like haircuts and like shaved a certain way to fit the style, and it was so cool just walking into that room. And then being able to go with the camera, not having to worry about like seeing that one corner where everything's packed into it, because there was no corner like that. It was all set deck to match the scene. And so just being able to go around with like Michael, watching the monitor, just following the actors, seeing the whole scene stylized to fit the moment was really cool.
The title of this film originally was Black Slippers, and that actually was taken from a line in a poem on my grandmother's fridge that it was like a comedic poem, and I would read it every time I went to visit her. But really, the reason for the change is over the course of development, as we did rewrite after rewrite, the dance sequence started to take on more significance in the story, and so we realized, okay, that's the point, that's the significant point of the story, that's the climax, that's the realization moment for Josie. We had figured out that the way we wanted to bring her into the flashback was the music. So we picked a song. It's called "The Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square." It was very popular during World War II, the latter part of World War II. We had the great fortune of having Shelby Turner come on set and sing for us.
The experience in the musical has been really incredible.
This is one of the first times that we've gotten to see people flourish in this sort of new realm.
A lot of the people in the cast aren't strictly acting majors. I was blown away by their dedication and their commitment and their professionalism that they brought to the project.
It's like a family relationship, so sometimes there's those like arguments and stuff because we'll be together for like 6 hours at a time, but then like we'll come together at the end of the day and we'll just like hug it out and be ready for the next day.
It's been hard. We work roughly 16 hours a week on rehearsals. It's like 3 classes rolled up into one, but I think it's all worth it.
It's been really exciting to transition from the soundstage to the Center for the Arts. We get to be out on like a really big stage and like professional stage.
It's been stressful and it's been joyful. It's been heartbreaking and exciting.
There's something like great and energetic and raw about that experience, and especially doing it with your friends and your other classmates. It's just a phenomenal experience.
Hey guys, what's up? My face is probably really red because all the blood went to my face, but we're here today to be cooking some food that's going to get you through the week.
Cooking is good.
It's fun.
It's more fun than you think it is.
Yeah.
It's easier than you think it is. It's cheaper than you think it is.
Yeah,
so
today we're going to be making some tater tot casserole, and what we're going to need for that is we're going to need some ground beef, we're going to need some mozzarella cheese, we're going to need some Worcestershire sauce, green beans, mushroom soup, shoot, what else?
Onions, garlic.
Onions, garlic. I think that's it.
Preheat the oven to 375.
Dice up some garlic and some onion here, yellow onion. All right, so you just make these little lines. Don't cut all the way down. If you cut too far down, that starts happening. And that's not the worst thing in the world, you know, that can happen. But you come down, you've got these little checker marks in here. Always, quick tip, never cut towards yourself. It's very dangerous, so don't do what I'm doing. And once you got that, you just kind of go. And then look at that. Diced onion in an instant. Look at that. I was going to throw this away, but then Pope Francis would be upset. So I'm just going to put this in a bag where I'm going to totally use it again.
So the next step is going to be a real fun little thing where we put all this stuff, the garlic and the onions, in a pan and fry them up a little bit. Woo! This is called the frying pan. This is olive oil. Doesn't really matter, don't put too much. About that. Like more is better because then it's all crispy. Oh, sizzling. That's gonna be your onions right there.
You see people doing all those crazy, like, you know, food flips. So pretty much what you're doing is you just push it forward and then your food just comes back. Oh.
That's way too much garlic. Garlic's really strong. I like garlic, so I'm gonna put a little extra, but about that. So one side of that is done. The other side is not quite where you want it, but. Oh shoot. You like that, Gordon? Shout out to Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
We should have him on the show sometime.
All of this is going to go in the oven again. So you don't need it, you want it to be cooked, but you don't need to, like, you know, it doesn't need to be black.
So just put one in there. Is this squirrel meat? So this is pretty much the step where everything else goes together.
Kind of keep the grease out of there.
Next step is to get this all into here. Oh shoot. We're stirring this up. They're tater tots, as you can see from the thing. I think that's probably a brand name.
Yeah, it's good to make sure it's all nice and even.
One for the road. All right, now we're gonna put some cheese on the top. Sprinkle that nice and good.
Actually, you might not want to do that because these are going to be open for 30 minutes.
Should I not have done that?
I mean, it's too late now.
So let's throw it in the oven. Oh, ooh. Ooh, very good. And then you're gonna throw that in there for
30 minutes. Look at this, we're done. This is what it looks like when it comes out of the oven.
This is our tater tot casserole.
Yep.
So yeah, if this is just you eating it, you can probably tell this is more than just one sit down.
Let's dish it up, dude. Woo! Want to get a spatula? Ooh, look at that.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh, look at that steam coming out
Can I
of
get
there.
some more tater tots in mine?
You absolutely cannot.
I love that.
If I lose the blue light.
You push it so like the light is facing upwards.
Like this?
Can you get an audio test on the count?
Audio test? Yes. Hey, what's up? Can you hear that? Okay, no, the green light is blinking. I don't know what that means.
Patrick, the green light.
The green light is blinking. It's blinking. Blink. It's off. It's blinking. It's blinking. Blinking.
Patrick, the green light is blinking.
And the
We've been having a lot of audio problems, and Patrick apologizes for that. He also told me to tell you to shut up, so that was from him.
Can I sign?
Oh, say that in the broadcast.
My name is Viva Valdez. I'm an actress. And this is why I create. Yeah, I think at some point, every artist in their life struggles with comparison. That's kind of something that I think is inevitable for us in our work. I think as myself, I'm very comparison-minded. There's like times where I really just kind of want to like shut down and quit. I think it makes me question whether or not I'm good enough to pursue this. And I've never ever considered myself an artist or a creator. And I think a lot of times I just don't think I'm worthy of that title almost. But really the past year I've really come to like own that side of myself that says I'm an actress and therefore I'm an artist, therefore I'm a creator. And what keeps us coming back to wanting to be
Hello, our apologies about the technical difficulties with our audio there.
Third time's the charm, though.
Third time's the
I'm
charm.
Elisa Litke.
And I'm Nicholas Pape.
We're hosting the Senior Spotlight Series.
Yep, today we'll be going through 6 of the senior projects. Unspoken had to drop out at the last moment, and so we'll have follow-up information for that after the show.
But let us know down in the comments who you're here to see, which one you're most excited for. Which one are you most excited for?
Ooh, I think I have to go with Gray Matters at the moment, just because it's a Stephen King adaptation, and it's directed by Keenan Wastenberg, who has yet to misfire from my experience with him.
Very interesting.
Yes,
that
indeed.
sounds like a good one. I'm most excited for Merrick. I have emotional bias. My sister is the producer. But also, I have seen some Haley is directing, and most of
Haley's directing our Joshua Shepherdson, who has been our savior with sound today, was the screenwriter, is the screenwriter.
Yeah.
And then the production team. It should be fun.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, indeed.
So we have an exciting show for you today. Hope that you guys are here to stick around for the entire thing. And if you can't, you can always come back. This will always be here.
Yep,
forever.
this should be here on YouTube, and then there should be no copyright issues like there were with Fiddler, so
yeah,
it'll be
because
good.
this is all original work.
Yep, indeed.
How exciting.
Sure
People
thing.
created it in their minds, and now it's in the real world. Life is wonderful.
Alrighty, and then we'll be back shortly with the Project of Roy with Joseph Fifelsky and Peter Mai.
My name is Beth Drozda. I'm a filmmaker and makeup artist, and this is why I create. Suffering has played a huge part in my journey as an artist. It definitely dictates the tone of my stories. I know a lot of people in my life have asked me, did you have to end it on that note, or did this have to happen, you know? And I was like, yeah, it had to, because I couldn't allow myself to do anything else, because it's what I know. And I believe that in order to recover or heal from some sort of suffering, you have to revisit it on your own terms, and you have to revisit it honestly. And so for me, it's been a huge part of healing from suffering that I've gone through. First, in looking at art that was honest and recognizing that that's how I felt, and sort of seeing the situation from a point of clarity. It's a situation you have control over. And so for me, it's healing to create art, because I do get to revisit the things that I've gone through on my own terms. It's cathartic in a way that's healing. It helps you to process those emotions without the adulteration or like the confusion. And that way it helps you to move on from that and learn from it. My name is Beth Drozda, and this is why I create.
Hello and welcome back. We are here with the team of Roy, and do you guys want to introduce yourselves there?
Yes, I'm Joseph Feifelski. I'm the director of Roy.
Hi, my name is Peter Mai. I am one of the producers for Roy.
All right, and then both seniors, obviously, given the senior spotlight
Yes.
event.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless something happened, we'll see. So tell me a little bit about Roy. What was the inspiration for you guys there?
Yeah, so the inspiration actually for the story, I'm also the writer.
Okay,
of
the
Roy.
writer.
Forgot to make that clear. But the inspiration actually for the story was I was sitting down and I was writing a script and it was terrible and I was not liking where I was going, and I just felt like I was getting further and further away from what I wanted to tell. And I stopped myself and I started to pray. I set my laptop down, I prayed for like 20 minutes and picked the laptop back up and wrote Roy, and it happened. And so the whole story is actually based on that prayer that I had.
Prayer that you had?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then from Roy, so basic synopsis, logline, what would you say that would be? For
Right. So Roy is a historical sci-fi drama about true love and the effects of violence. So that's the basic overview, but it's really a story about sacrificial love and what that means in a sci-fi world.
In a sci-fi world, okay.
Yes.
So like, I know in film criticism, we talked about a lot about themes and how different things go back and forth. So
Right. Yeah. So this whole thing is set in a post-apocalyptic world, but not like one you've ever seen before. This world is very cold, very cruel, and it's a world filled with artificial intelligence and robots, and it's got some interesting cultural clashes between robots and humans and clones, which is an interesting piece, which won't tie so much into the film, and this is mostly backstory elements. But the actual short film that we're going to make for the senior thesis will be really short. It's actually only like a 5.5-page script. It's a very short, very concise, very simple story that'll have a nice punch at the end. So can't give that away.
Spoilers.
Yeah, exactly.
And then for that, were there any sci-fi movies that you were drawing from in writing or in visualizing it?
Yes, well, yes and no. Most of the inspiration actually came from the setting of the story is all in one location. It's inside a barn.
Okay.
It's like a mechanic's shop, but it's kind of been shoved into a barn. And I based it off of a barn that I grew up in as a kid. But then I thought, what if this barn was set in this future? And so I'm playing on Blade Runner 2049. Obviously Star Wars kind of has little bits of influence, but one of the interesting aesthetics of the film, which you can kind of see up on our temporary poster we have here, is actually 20s. It's kind of based on a 20s texture and feel. We wanted it almost to feel vintage, which is why it's a historical sci-fi drama.
Yeah, and I know prior to going live, you had mentioned using in-camera effects and using that.
Yeah.
So is that going to be a feel like watching one of the classic 1920s movies?
Yes.
Is it black and white or?
It will be in color. It'll be very cinematic, obviously, but we're going to definitely be playing with that very retro 20s styling. So there's going to be a lot of really interesting in-camera effects. That'll be very cool. It's not going to look like Blade Runner. It's not going to have these crazy lens flares and stuff. It's really toning that back and giving it this lived-in, textured feel.
Okay.
Which will be very, very interesting.
All right, and then it's like as far as the emotion of the story, like how does that the lighting, camera, how is that going to factor in, at least in your vision at the moment in pre-production?
Yeah, so lighting is key to the mood and the emotion that the story gives off, and obviously the setting and everything. So we're going to be tying all of that together under this vintage umbrella of style. So it's obviously going to be sci-fi. There's the main character, this girl, is a robot.
Okay.
But we're going to be almost juxtaposing that with these elements of old Edison bulbs and just the different textures of this 20s era world. Because the idea behind it is that the story occurs after World War III.
Okay.
And what are the things that survive bomb blasts? It's your, you know, grandmother's vacuum from the early 30s that's made out of cast iron. It's those kind of things that survive the tests of time. It's your, you know, grandfather's old wooden tools that actually last longer than anything you could buy today. And so I really wanted to play on that with the story and with the world that this whole little interaction takes place in. This little scene takes place in this really interesting world of all these old artifacts from past eras, even though it is a futuristic piece.
Okay, so is it sort of like a juxtaposition of how you, in order to move forward, you have to bring the old with you, you have to find a way to merge
Exactly.
progress?
And that's kind of also one of the major themes of the film, which I forgot to mention, is basically that one of the core ideas, as I said, based on this prayer. It's a story about sacrificial love. And Roy, the mechanic, so he's this mechanic in this shop, and basically this female robot steps into the shop, and she threatens him at gunpoint and asks him to fix her because she just ran away from her former masters. And within that little dynamic, I can't give away the ending because it's really strong, but Roy represents God. So the word Roy literally means king, which is a subtle way of kind of showing the Christianity behind the themes of the story. And I wanted to play around with the idea that in the future, God is kind of shoved in a corner. So Roy is kind of shoved in the corner of the world in his barn. Yeah. And he's an AI mechanic. And a mechanic is kind of my interpretation of a carpenter, just like Jesus was.
Yeah.
So playing with a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's like bringing the past into elements of the future. And those different styling pieces here you can see one of the concept art pieces I did for the character Roy.
Okay.
And there's a lot of different elements that'll be going into the aesthetic and the tone and the feel. It's a very kind of dark and intimate story.
Okay. And then as far as archetype, the relationship between Roy and what was the
girl? So interestingly enough, she doesn't have a name because she's supposed to represent humanity.
Okay.
So girl is kind of just almost like saying man in the sense of the story, as you can kind of see here as she steps in another concept art piece I did for the film.
Okay. And then so the archetype between them, father-daughter or?
It's, as I was saying with Roy, it's more like God and creature. So we're playing on the idea that Roy may have built her long ago.
So creator and created.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a cool relationship.
Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic. It'll be really cool to work with the actors and kind of play around with that as well, which I'm very excited for.
That sounds good. And then just to segue and make sure Peter's involved over there.
Yeah,
so as a producer, how intimidating is it to hear, oh, we're going for a 20s aesthetic and we need old cast iron vacuum cleaners and toasters, clocks?
It was definitely interesting. So our other producer, JJ Schindler, who was not able to make it today, him and I have been working very closely and trying to figure out where we can get all these set deck pieces right now. The main piece that we have right now is the mechanic's chair, which is sitting in my garage, and that's the focal point of Roy's workshop as he talks with the girl.
Okay.
And, but in regards to other set deck pieces and this 1920s vintage style, we've been working with our production designer, Lexi Lovetier.
Oh, you're working with Lexi this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got the A-team.
Yeah, exactly.
A-team.
Yeah. So, and we've also been working with Justin Capobianco, who works in LA with a prop house. So we'll be working with him, trying to get the aesthetic and the feel for the film.
Okay.
And after we get all these pieces, we'll be setting a couple days just entirely to set deck the stage, or the barn, I should say, and to capture what we want.
Right.
Yeah. And so do you have the location locked in for that?
Yes, we do. We've had this location locked in for over a year at least.
Okay, so you guys are locked in for that, and then it's just a matter of getting it all decked out for the shoot.
Right.
Cool. And then, is there anything else from your perspective, just because you're the producer, as we do have potential donors, what would you pitch to them as to why should they help you guys get Roy off the ground?
One thing I would pitch them is the idea of loving and sacrifice, and working in relation with man to be able to show that we do care for each other, even when we are angry, when we are bitter at the world. that at the end of the day, there is love within us. It just needs to be expounded out from us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Exactly what he said.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Do you guys have? Yeah. And then JJ's. Where's he currently at the moment?
He's currently talking with one of our executive producers to secure some funding for the film.
Okay. So a little bit there, a little bit there.
Yeah, we're trying to get different little pieces together the past couple weekends. Me and JJ have basically been going out and buying old things and fixing them up and reselling them to try to make a little bit of money to get started on a lot of the process of building the costume and building the set design pieces and acquiring the tools and all of the other elements that start to connect in. So yeah, we've been trying to pick up as much as we can on the side. So
every little bit counts.
They call it the flip life.
Yeah, the flip life.
And then do you guys currently have an Indiegogo campaign or an Instagram page for Roy?
No, yeah, we are building our social media, and we're planning on launching a website sometime this week.
Sometime
so
this
it'll
week?
be going up this week. Yep.
Okay, do you guys have an estimated date in mind, or just for people to look for it, or?
The website, hopefully within the week. We'll be launching Indiegogo soon, but we'll be, our main focus is going to be the website and our Instagram.
Okay,
and that's where
Instagram.
We're going to be posting content every day once we have those 2 pieces launched.
Alrighty. And then is there any Instagram we can follow in the meantime?
Yes, you can follow our professional Instagrams, peter.v.my and Joseph Ifelsky.
Yep. All right, so Joseph Ifelsky and peter.v.my. Alrighty. Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah,
right.
And then I believe that will do it for the most part, but let's see, so cinematographers, you mentioned the 20s aesthetic.
Yes, yeah. So our cinematographer is going to be Jesse Barron.
Okay.
He's not currently at the school, so he couldn't be here with us, but he's an industry professional from LA, and he's been working a lot in the commercial world.
Okay.
And in just talking with him and stuff, he really realized that he wanted to get into the creative storytelling world, and he really wanted to jump into, dialing in specifics for different tones and aesthetics. And I told him about this story a long time ago, a year and a half ago. I was pitched it to him, and he really, really loved it and said he would absolutely love to be on board, and he'd really love to design out the look. And so the more me and him were talking, and I had always kind of thought I wanted it to be vintage, but the great thing about collaborating with him is he's able to see the intricacies of what I would like to bring out.
Yeah.
So it's been fantastic to work with him, and he's kind of designed out the look to be a lot stronger, more vintage, more of everything, really.
Okay.
So that's worked out fantastic.
Alrighty. And then just for one last note quickly there, since he hasn't been with the school, so how is it that you met him, and how did the school help with that at all, or was that just something?
No, that was primarily just through contacts with JJ. JJ knew him outside of school, and we just pretty much worked from that. I worked with him on a commercial.
Okay.
Just as a PA, and then me and him got to talking, and I told him I was a concept artist, and I showed him my work, and that was it.
All right, well, sounds good. All right, and then I believe we're about to wrap up here. So that was it for the team of Roy. Remember, you can follow them on Instagram at Joseph Ifelsky and peter.v.my, and we'll look forward to seeing the launch of the Indiegogo campaign, as well as the website here shortly. And thank you guys for joining us, and
all right,
have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you later on Frames.
Awesome. Thanks, sir.
Yep, appreciate it. Sure thing. Thank you guys for coming.
Yep, ready.
And then I stuck my hand straight down his throat, grabbed the piece of the donut, threw it in the trash can. Boom.
Oh my gosh, Josiah!
I got this.
Walking fast down Grand, wishing you were here now to hold my hand. See the strangers living on the street, and this sight makes me want to weep. And I miss you, darling, yeah, I miss you, darling, I do, yeah.
It's gonna work. Hey, man, can you stand in for her? Will you marry me?
You know, with Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Because she's gone. Want any popcorn?
Oh, hey Lulu, can you help me find the number 2?
Oh, how about you use your own 2 eyes and find the number 2 yourself, dumb.
Whoa, looks like someone has a potty mouth.
Oh, like you weren't bitching earlier when they got the coffee order wrong. Don't whoa me, okay? You need to at this station. This is real.
This station is for upholding
rough.
the children's growth.
Oh, the children?
Yes.
F those brats.
Lulu! Eat a Snickers. Better?
Better. Dude, I think we're lost.
Not lost. I know where we're going.
This sucks. Are you sure
Where are my friends?
There they are!
and we're back. My name's Elisa, in case you've joined recently and didn't see our ridiculously hard opener for our audio. Sorry about that again, but we're back on track, and I'm here with Merrick Carlykle. This is the group for Merrick Carlykle Has a Problem. We will be doing the shorthand of Merrick, because that is a lot of words, and I fumble very easily. So we're just going to call it Merrick for now.
Sounds good.
So welcome, guys. I hope
Hi,
you guys
thank
have been
you.
having a good day. I hope everything's
good.
been working out for you. Can you tell us a little bit about the story? What is Merrick Carlykle?
Yeah, Joshua?
Yeah, so Merrick Carlykle Has a Problem is a story about a peaceful psychopath named Merrick Carlykle. She has no empathy, no emotions whatsoever, and she goes to a university. The story starts out with a problem that she has. Her classmate, Isaac Lockhart, who is incredibly awkward and uncomfortable, has fallen in love with her, and she doesn't know what to do about it because she doesn't have feelings.
How intense, the woes,
The
troubles
woes.
of love.
The troubles of a psychopath.
Yes, so I'm assuming you are the writer since you took
The
that
writer,
head.
yeah.
First of all, let's get your names. Totally forgot that part. Who are you? Tell us who you are and what you do on set.
Yeah, so I'm Joshua David. I'm the writer for Merrick Carlykle Has a Problem. I'm doing sound design and sound in production, and I'm a creative producer.
I'm Haley Jackson. I'm the director and a creative producer.
Exciting.
I'm Sarah Lickey. I am the producer for this project.
Even more exciting. How wonderful. Going back to the writing perspective of it, what inspired the story?
Just kind of being at college, I guess. I tend to feel myself that I'm a really awkward and uncomfortable person, as I'm sure most people do, and so that kind of inspired both characters in their own way. Isaac, kind of more of the realistic version, taking my own anxieties to an extreme, and then Merrick, just kind of the way that I feel really distant from people and I just can't relate, and so that's kind of that side of me as well.
Yeah, that like block to friendship and love and all the fun stuff that life is really full of, you know, the sweet nectar. You were talking a little bit about your relationship to the characters. Which characters do you guys relate to the most in the story?
Oh gosh. I feel like I can't really relate to any of them, but I relate to them all at the same time because they're such extreme characters. So if you relate to Merrick, in a way you're saying that you don't have emotions, which I'm an extremely emotional person. So I can't say that, and yet I do relate to her. And then same thing with Isaac, where he's so over the top and everything is such a big deal that I don't feel like I'm there emotionally, but you can relate, I guess. So I relate to everybody, but nobody at the same time. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, kind of like I said before, I somewhat relate just both to Merrick and Isaac, as they're both two different extremes for all of the things that I kind of feel.
So they're like the two parts of you, the left brain, right brain
Sorta,
kind
yeah.
of debacle. Interesting. Sarah?
Well, I agree with them. I kind of see myself in both of the characters, but I mostly see myself in Chad.
Who's Chad? Tell us a little
If
bit
you don't know
about-
who Chad is, then you're just gonna have to wait and find out and follow our social media platforms so you know who Chad is.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
We get to hear more about the wonderful story plot line that is Chad.
Yeah.
Other than that, what kind of like film style are you guys going for? Like, what's the genre? What are we feeling? What headspace should the audience be in when we're gonna watch this?
It is a very upbeat, awkward
Awkward.
rom-com. Yeah, like a lot of the comedy just comes out of these two characters having no social knowledge whatsoever. So it's a lot of like awkward silences and just them literally not knowing how to interact with each other. They're very much like an unstoppable, what's that?
An unstoppable force meets
an immovable object. Yeah, it's just they're complete opposites. And yeah.
And well, how life is, we have immovable objects, but then we keep moving forward. Talking about moving forward, what are you guys most excited for about the entire production part of it?
I'd say the style. We're gonna go for very colorful, very, very colorful. We've got really upbeat music that we're gonna be using, and it's like Wes Anderson meets Edgar Wright somewhere in there. So it's very stylistic. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably just most excited to see how it's going to turn out on the screen. When I first wrote it, I didn't have a director in mind. I personally feel I'm really horrible at directing, so I definitely wasn't going to do that unless I absolutely had to. And then Haley read the script, and she loved it, so I'm just really excited to see what she's going to do with it, how it's going to play out.
Well, fun.
I guess I'm most excited for how it's going to be on set. We have like a really awesome group of people, and we're all, we all went to school together for like the past 3 years, and we're all friends, so I think that's going to be really fun, especially with what the story is about, with like those like funny moments. It's going to be really hard to like stay serious, and but we will be professional.
So hopefully you guys don't ruin sound.
Yeah.
That'd be a struggle to sit here and constant giggles, snorts. If you have a snorter in the group, that's always the worst one.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, it's actually going to be a sitcom with canned laughs.
Yeah, with a laugh track.
That's always the best kind. Just like really bad, like scratchy audio.
Yeah,
just
really, yeah.
Like it's always late. It's always just like.
And it's the repeat. It's the same laugh every.
You just hear like one person who just happened to be louder that day. Always the best audio for a CD project.
For sure.
Do you guys have like anyone that you're working with outside the school, or anyone that you're like, any place that you're most excited to work with, someone like that?
I'm really excited. We just got permission to use a musician's music throughout the whole thing, so he's gonna do at least part, if not all of the soundtrack, and I'm just really excited about that. I went to school with him in high school back in Idaho, and so we were friends, and he'd perform in coffee shops, and I'd come and see him, and I love his style, and his newest album just fits the whole movie really well, so I'm really excited about that because that just happened like 2 days ago. And then otherwise, I'm always excited to work with new actors. So we have no idea who we're casting yet. We're casting out of LA, and it's just going to be a submission and audition process. And I really love working with new people, so I'm excited just to meet them and find who they are.
Fun. For the directing perspective, what part of the style are you looking forward to like most creating? Like, because there's the visuals of like the set deck, there's the visuals of like the gaffing, like the coloring, the lighting, there's the visuals of how the actors portrayed. Like, they always say that the actors' eyes are the most important. What part are you looking forward to working with the most?
I think for this one, me and our cinematographer, Chris Weingart, are really going for making every single frame just gorgeous looking, and then of course that goes to art department as well. We're going to have really colorful sets, and I'm really excited to work on that and have everything just very balanced. And then the other thing we're experimenting with is our camera style and having like a lot of whip pans and zooms and kind of like weird shooting style, I guess, and I'm really excited to have that motion kind of carry us through the story.
How fun. On the production side of it, what has been kind of a struggle, but like you're like looking the most forward to? Like, is it getting the film production up? How's been working with the team, stuff like that?
I think the hardest part is we're trying to film at a big university in San Diego. We had just reached out to University of San Diego. So that's the hardest part because we have to work with like a whole different school that doesn't really know who we are and what we're about and like how serious and professional we're going to be. But I think that'll be the funnest because we're going to be, exploring someplace new and branching outside of Escondido and the school, and more people will hear about us, hopefully. Yeah.
And Joshua, you could have written this story a number of ways. It could have been any kind of genre. But you made it about college students, and it's kind of a rom-com. Why did you decide to do that kind of style versus, say, like a dramatic, and it's like they're in a insane asylum or something? You have like they're just both patients at the same place. Why did you choose that style?
I chose the setting of a college just because it's kind of the most familiar and kind of pertinent to me at the moment. This is the most relevant kind of thing. And then I wrote a rom-com because, first of all, I think that's just my genre of choice. I think I'm pretty good at writing comedies, and I really like to. But it's just kind of, I think that it really fits the worldview I have, that it's just, there's a lot of kind of horrible and depressing things, and life in general is just kind of horrible. But even in that, there's always something you can laugh at. And so I just like kind of having really unfortunate circumstances and just laughing at them. So it's just kind of throughout the whole film, we got the Merrick Carlykle and Isaac Lockhart, and they just can't connect, and neither of them really know what they're doing, and it's kind of depressing if you look at it in that way, but we laugh at them the whole time. Not so much at them, I guess, but just kind of with them as they're also going through their journey.
I think we laugh at them. Look at them. Definitely.
Can you tell us a little bit about the emotional journey between Merrick and Isaac? Like, what's the struggle there? What can the audience be expecting? But no spoilers, of course. We can't be ruining great shows like that.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest themes that I was going for with the film is just kind of looking at love in a different way. Because a lot of the time in movies and television, you just get the purely emotional love. That's just kind of, you see somebody and you immediately fall in love for whatever reason. It's just kind of that pure emotion that drives love. And I don't think that's totally accurate because there's also the intellectual side. So what I really want to look at with Merrick Carlykle is he is incapable of loving emotionally. And so I want to see if he has the capacity to learn how to love intellectually without the use of emotion. So he has to kind of take that journey. And then on the other hand, Isaac is completely unknowledgeable of any social norms at all. So he almost doesn't have the capacity to love intellectually. So he has to learn how to take his emotional love and apply it in that way.
Very interesting journey, and I can tell it's stretching out through all stages of production. I mean, when you were talking about working with Chris Weingart of the cinematography, just making it show in a different kind of way, this is the way that the love is showing through, and even from the production standpoint, just how to make the story just a little bit further of like how we can show it in a different way. It's very interesting. I'm like really excited and getting just pumped up just listening to about it.
Yeah.
Where can we find you on Instagram? And what do you guys got set up? Or how can us as an audience and a new fan and supporter, how can we find you and follow your journey?
Yeah, we're on Facebook. Merrick Carlykle Has a Problem. I think short film, or is it just Merrick Carlykle Has a Problem? I think it's just that. Same thing on Instagram. We're on IMDb, and then we'll be launching our Indiegogo on the 17th.
Well, that sounds super exciting. Any last notes before we close off this interview?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your support.
For having us. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and I hope you are still here to join us for the next senior screening project showcase live. Yeah. You know how it is. Go take a bathroom.
Hello, welcome back. We are here now with The Good Shepherd, which is not a film, but a game project that we have. And with us today, we have...
I'm James Jacobus.
And I'm Adriana DiCarlo.
Yeah, so guys, what was it that inspired you about the game, or even the game development program that we have at the school here?
Well, I'm very passionate, personally, about game development in general, and also about Catholicism, and this is about the only place where you can do both of those things.
Okay.
And so the story of our game also has to do with that too.
All right, Adi, for you?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, video games were a really big part of my childhood growing up, and just I am also very passionate about my faith. So coming here was kind of my way to marry the two. And then yeah, this game is kind of based off of the story of the Good Shepherd in the Bible, and the idea for it kind of started with a little game design for evangelism club that we had, like our sophomore year here, and which is no longer meeting, but we kind of got attached to the game that we had started to make, so we wanted to do it as our senior project.
And just continue through with it. And then were there any games that really inspired you, like growing up, that if there was one game you had to choose, that...
Well, I mean, there's lots of games that inspired me pursuing game design, but this one in particular is more of a puzzle game, and I can't say that there's one specifically because there's so many, but like easy ones are like Portal, and there's one called the Talos Principle, which inspired me the most, probably.
Okay. And then Adi, for you at all? Or?
I think my favorite game growing up, what really got me hooked on them, was Age of Mythology. It was one my dad used to play with me, and I would like sit on his lap and he'd let me think I was playing, and give me like a mouse that wasn't plugged in kind of thing. And then I really loved like all the Fallout games, so just like the storytelling and the visuals and that were really inspiring to me.
Okay. And then as far as the story of the Good Shepherd, we're all, at least I hope we're all familiar with the tale of the shepherd who will sacrifice everything to pursue the one lost sheep. Yep. Was there anything for you guys personally that linked you to that story more as you went through development of the game?
Well, when we were talking about the narrative design for the game in the Games for Evangelism club that Adi just brought up, we went through a lot of different Bible stories so we could find the right one we could interpret into a game. And it's not incredibly personal, but you know, I like the self-sacrifice in the story, you know, the trying everything to find the one lost sheep, like you said. So we just thought it would be a perfect way to adapt.
Okay. And then Adi, did you have thoughts on that, or?
We thought out of like all the stories we could have chosen from the Bible that it would probably be like the easiest and most visually compelling to adapt. So it's not the Good Shepherd exactly, but kind of like inspired by the parables. So the story of the Shepard of Light is you are a young shepherd and your father has left you in charge of your light sheep, and your light sheep are kind of like they're the most important thing in your life, and when these shadow wolves come and chase them away, like you're now alone and you have to go out into this like wolf-infested forest to bring them all home safely.
Okay, and then as far as the puzzle aspect intertwining to the story, is there, from a game design perspective, is the gameplay usually symbiotic with the story being told to help get the experience across for the audience or those playing the game?
Well, like Adi said, it's not the exact story.
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, the way that we design the mechanics of the game are to be resource-based, so you collect multiple sheep and you use them in different ways around the map in order to progress.
Okay. And then I believe we had a couple videos that you guys had mentioned.
Yeah, we have one that is called a vertical slice, which is a short play test of the game that showcases the art and some of the mechanics. It's supposed to be one piece of the game that shows everything that it's going to be. Okay. And then we also have a small only gameplay gray box video, which is just the puzzle gameplay. And it's not fully fleshed out on the art side at all, and it's just our level design that we've incorporated.
Okay, yeah. And then, so we have the sheep up here, correct?
Yeah, that's some concept art done by Sarah Galbraith, who's our concept artist on the project, and she did some sheep concepts for us.
All right, and then we'll play the first video for the vertical slice, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then Audie, I believe you were the one mostly behind the art department, correct?
Yeah, so I'm art director on the project, and so this vertical slice will kind of showcase what the art will look like in the final game. This was the very basic art that we had when we put this together, but kind of with the aesthetic of the game, I was really inspired by Atlantis, the Disney movie Atlantis.
Atlantis and the Lost Empire. Okay.
Yeah, Avatar, the blue people, not the amazing
yeah.
TV show. I really liked the blues and the purples and kind of this darkness, but with these neon glowing aspects. So we'll see that in the vertical slice.
Yep. And then we'll play the video now.
So yeah, this is just kind of some of the basic environment pieces that we had finished at the time. There's some basic animations on the character and on the sheep. This kind of showcases 2 of the 4 kinds of sheep that we will have in the game. So your blue sheep, oh, there's a third, never mind. We have the blue sheep are electric sheep, and you use each different kind of sheep to solve different kinds of puzzles in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the lighting scheme, the dark contrasted with the light, I take it that was, because also you have the shadow wolves contrasting from a story aspect and thematic aspects. What was it that you guys were going for with that one to help?
That's exactly what we were going for. We wanted a very large thematic play on shadow and light.
Okay.
It just sort of works with the Bible story anyway. Just the way that it's portrayed, and it helps with the puzzle mechanics as well, because your resources are actually the thing that drive back the darkness, because the sheep are light sheep. They're not just regular sheep, so they're the thing that puts down the darkness so that you can pass through, and we can utilize that very well for puzzle mechanics.
Okay.
Also, because the game is it's a fairly short game, we wanted it to be very visually compelling and very contrasty, and it stands out. So we thought the best way to do that would be with the lighting, and let the lighting really tell the story for us.
Okay. Interesting concept. And then for the gameplay, I noticed the tiles had the blocks on them. And then did you guys have anything for the gameplay for us? Or?
Yeah, so the gameplay, in this first video, we have some basic interactables, which is the light bridge that you use the blue sheep for, and a general pressure plate that you use any kind of sheep for interacting with the puzzle mechanics.
Okay.
And our other video will showcase a little more of the play testing of our more intricate puzzles.
Okay.
And we call it gray box because it's not going to look as pretty, because we haven't fully fleshed out those levels yet.
Okay, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
And then, so light, dark. Yeah, so were there any puzzle games along those lines? The puzzle dynamics that you drew from?
We've stole, you can say
stealing like an artist.
Stealing like an artist. We've used general concepts that we've found from other games in our mechanics, but
I don't know if you're familiar with Pikmin, but we were heavily inspired by Pikmin.
It's just a game where you manage your resources in a way that you can complete the level.
Okay.
So we do that same thing, but in a different way, and we do some other general puzzle mechanics too.
Okay. And then
this is our gray box here.
Okay. And then would you mind walking us through how that
so right now you're doing some very basic puzzles based off of the resources that you have. You need to split them up in very specific ways in order to progress forward.
Okay, and then I take it that was those are the shadow wolves?
Yes, those are the shadow wolves.
The textures are a little messed up. I need to re-UV them, but
yeah. And then is that the shadow wolves? How do they factor into the gameplay aspect there? Is it
so? Like I said earlier, the white sheep actually are the thing that drives back the wolves. So to progress through an area, basically you need a corresponding number of white sheep. And so that's what we use to really dictate where the player can go at any given moment. That and general lock and key puzzle mechanics like opening doors.
All right. And then the different sheep, so you have the white sheep.
We have the white sheep that interact with the wolves, mainly. They also interact with general pressure plates, which use any number of sheep. Then we have the blue sheep, which make the bridges primarily. Then we have the orange sheep, which interact with destructible objects.
They explode.
They explode.
That
and then
started as a joke, but we kept them anyway.
And then there is one last one, which is the one black sheep, which you'll never be getting more than one of in the game, and he has a very special ability.
Oh, I feel like that sounds like a spoiler. So
yeah.
Yes. So how far are you guys in the production process of the game?
So our development of the puzzle mechanics is completely finished.
Okay.
Our level design is mostly finished. We just have to do some tweaking. There's still a lot more art to do.
Yeah, we're about I'd say we'd have about a third of the art done in terms of like the base characters and like base environment, but we have a lot of different biomes like throughout the game. So you
like
start
a winter biome.
We have like so you start in your farm. There's our little blue sheep, and then as you progress and you unlock different kinds of sheep, there are different kinds of biomes that you'll unlock. So there's the first biome is a lot of like ruins, because that's where you find the electric sheep and they power like ancient technology.
Okay.
And then the orange sheep, like it's kind of like a forest fire biome almost.
Okay.
And then the last sheep, the black sheep, you're kind of like at the outer reaches of the farm, and it's very dark, and it's almost kind of like a cave sort of thing. So there's a lot of art to do.
Yeah.
And then just because we're starting to wrap up on time there, is there anywhere we would be able to locate the, like, do you guys have an Indiegogo page or website that you're starting for it?
We do not have an Indiegogo page yet, and we will have a Facebook page up soon.
Yeah, we have an Instagram though,
We
which
do have
is
Instagram.
just at Shepard of Light the game, just one thing.
Shepard of Light the game, and then what are you guys' plans after you guys launch the game?
So we're planning to release the game for free on multiple platforms. Mainly,
so y'all can play it.
Yeah, so everybody can play it.
All right.
And so that we can have a solid portfolio piece for our future.
Okay, sounds good. And then with that, I believe we'll wrap up there, and that was it for the team of the Shepard of Light. Thank you guys for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy
Thank you
the
for
rest of your
having
day
us.
there. Sure thing.
welcome back. My name is Elisa. In case you're just joining in, you can go ahead and scroll on back if you want to start from the beginning, or just stay here with us. I don't know, whatever you feel. If you feel frisky, you can go ahead and do that. I'm sitting here with the team that is doing Imogen, and it is very interesting. It is also pronounced Imogen, not emoji, not Imogen, not Jedediah. I don't know what other words you can do. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself so everyone knows who you are?
Hi, my name is Chris Weingart. I'm the co-writer, co-director, and editor on the project.
My name's Sophie Flemings, and I am, you guessed it, the other co-writer and co-director on the project.
I guessed right.
And my name is Adam Shabilsky, and I am the producer for Imogen.
How exciting. So you guys are co-directors. You guys are the only team, if I'm correct, that is co-directing a senior project. And you guys have worked together before, and you guys know that this style works out between you two?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been well stress tested over the quarters. We normally work as I direct usually and she DPs, but the way that the relationship has been moving for a long time has kind of led to this being the most natural progression for the relationship, because we've co-written pretty much everything that we've done. And so while she's usually focused on the visuals and I'm usually focused on the performances, it's become a very kind of fluid process of her having just as many opinions and vision aspects for the creative stuff.
Yeah, it's sort of always been a collaboration. Like I said, I mean, we start with the script together and sort of co-write that part. So I already have a lot of grounds in the project, if you will. And since, like, even working really visually and doing the camera and lighting stuff and coordinating that, Chris has always been really good about hearing, like, what I have to bring to the table and what I have to say about things. So yeah, it's just sort of always been going this way. I'm really excited to take it on for our senior project.
Yeah, get you a man who listens. So you guys are obviously like learning from each other, and then it's become like you guys were two hands, but now you're clasped together in the dreams of cinematography and world and film and stuff. How exciting.
French cinema.
So let's talk about what you guys are actually here for. Imogen, tell us a little, what's the story about? What's going on there?
All right. So yeah, it's about this girl named Imogen. She's a high school dropout skater. She likes to commit petty crimes in her free time.
Total bad girl.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
She doesn't like bad words though, so that's like one of those things that she has about her. Anyway, so she early on in the film basically gets an ultimatum from her mom. You have to leave town. You can't live here anymore because you're a bad influence on your brother Quinn, who has a lot more of a future. He has not dropped out of high school. He's doing very well. And she has sort of, Candace, the mother, has sort of focused all of her attention on getting him somewhere since Imogen hasn't. So it's about basically protecting Quinn at this point. And so because of that, Imogen has to figure out what she's going to do, and she doesn't have any money. So she decides to plan a heist of a local record store for this very like vintage vinyl record recording of the Punk Five, which is a band that we made up for the movie. So she has to steal that and sell it to kind of get the money that she needs, and Quinn is going to help her.
Yeah, so the film just follows them planning this heist and then trying to execute it and sort of all the things that happen along the way.
Yeah, so it follows a brother and a sister, a creative duo, just like you guys.
Yeah.
How was it writing it? What inspired this story? You know, working together, you kind of got to find the happy mediums where you guys can make the story together. What really got this ball rolling?
Yeah, well, the story started for me with this sort of mother-daughter relationship. It's very similar to the one that I had with my mom in high school, and I really wanted to write a story that was like about a mother-daughter relationship that starts in a bad place and sort of grows to this this better place, because that's sort of where me and my mom are now, which is awesome. But as I was writing and Quinn was sort of introduced, I really started to focus more on the brother-sister relationship. For one, I have 9 brothers, so I just have a lot of relationships like that. And then obviously working with Chris, we do a lot of things together. So it's sort of a more natural thing, and my life is really focused on that sort of relationship dynamic right now. So it sort of started there, and then I just had a bunch of scenes that were really nice but didn't do anything. So I brought Chris on, and he like fixed it. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so there was, when I kind of came on board this script specifically, I had been reading the iterations of the drafts, and there were so many great scenes of Imogen and Quinn specifically just interacting in a really organic, like emotional nature. And there were just a lot of scenes where it was like I just want to see this movie and I want to live with these characters and be friends with them. But the problem is it was really just them kind of hanging out and talking. And I'm a really kind of a structure guy. And so I'm all about like, okay, where is this going and what does it mean and how do we kind of fit everything together? I also love genre, and just any genre. So I thought it would be interesting to incorporate a heist element and make it a heist movie essentially, because that then orders all of their interactions towards something.
They have some kind of goal.
Exactly, and then this story's going somewhere and there's like an interesting climax. So that was really kind of my contribution, was trying to help get all of those wonderful character interactions to work towards something. And then it was really funny because I ended up planning the heist. I was actually in a Starbucks at the time, and I was like drawing out diagrams of this fake record store and like staring at it really hard and like trying to figure it out. And one of the employees came by. I was like, "Are you okay, sir? Like, are you doing?" Because I was just like trying to like work out all the different ways they could like steal this record from a busy like record store. So it was a lot of fun.
It's really brilliant too. Like the actual, like he said, he planned the heist himself on his own time. We spent a lot of time together in coffee shops, sort of like building up all of that and sort of getting the trajectory. And then we sort of got to the point where it was like, okay, we have the heist, it's gonna happen here and stuff. We can't write it out right now, so like we're gonna do it sort of separately on our own time. And he sent it to me, and it just like blew my mind. It's just so well done. So I'm really hyped about that. It's gonna be really cool.
How exciting! Also, hope you don't rob me later, because it sounds like you're really good at it. Let's see your hands at all times. Maybe pickpocketing everybody. We don't know. But you guys were talking a little bit about the characters. Like you have Quinn and Imogen and Candace, the mom. All these people, all these different kind of characters. Which characters do you guys relate to the most?
I'm gonna let you start this time.
Okay. I think the biggest character that I relate to is probably Quinn, and I think that is probably because a lot of what the story has to do with is a sort of a brother-sister relationship that has to eventually change and has to sort of, both people have to sort of move on. And I think that for Quinn especially, it's sort of, he's in that moment of starting to realize that that's necessary and having to sort of deal with those emotions in like a mature way, but also he's like a 16-year-old kid or something, so he's like trying to figure out how to kind of deal with that and deal with the necessity of that inevitable change. And I think that's something that I've just had a lot of experience with before, and I think the way that specifically Sophie brought that out in the character is really true.
Yeah. It should be no surprise at this point that Imogen is the one that I relate to the most of the time. I think Quinn's the funny one, and I wish that I was like Quinn, but I think mostly I'm like Imogen. She's sort of snarky and a lot of things I'm not as well, like cocky and confident and like really fun to be around. But sort of where she came from is, like I said, based on where I was at, like in high school. I dropped out of high school and stuff like that. Wasn't really going anywhere. So yeah, unfortunately I relate to her the most.
But she is the main character.
What can I say? I wrote it, it's fine.
Adam, who do you relate to the most?
Candace. No, I'm just kidding.
Adam's our mom. The mom of this group.
Sometimes it feels that way. When I was approached about producing this project and I read one of the earlier drafts over the break, I really connected with the relationship between Imogen and Quinn. And just reading it and seeing the script, it felt very unique and special, and I just immediately, the relationship and the bond they both had together really just struck a chord in me.
Beautiful. Yeah. So it seems that art is imitating life, but life is also imitating art. Life is everywhere. Art is everywhere. I guess life is just like that. You're talking about how it's like unique and it stands out. How does this project stand out amongst the other ones or amongst the other projects that you guys have done before?
That's like a really good question. Yeah, I don't.
How about start with the producer? How does it stand out? Because you could have produced any of these projects. I don't know about literally any of them, but you could have.
I mean, what makes this project unique is first and foremost the heist element. Is preparing and finding a record store and scouting a location to be able to map out a heist for a film. there's a skating element, so we're going to be doing a lot of filming at a skate park as well, and working with skaters and actors to get that prepared for as well. And then also a punk music vibe to it as well. Like they said, the Punk 5 is a great fictional band that we've created for this, and it'll be really fun preparing music and preparing this fictional band to be a part of the story as well.
Sounds like fun. You guys told me a little bit about Punk 5, how you're creating a whole band where you're going to release singles and music videos. I don't know if you guys have a band all together, but I'm sure people would love to help you out. Where can we find your Indiegogo, GoFundMe, Instagram, Facebook page? What do you guys got? We want to follow you up.
Yeah, so right now we're preparing our social media content, Facebook and Instagram, to go be live later in March, and then we're going to be starting our fundraising campaign on Indiegogo about mid-March. So people will be able to go and give us money and support this film through those endeavors.
Yeah, so coming soon.
Yes.
Coming soon to a website near you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, cool. It sounds like you guys are going to be full in the woes of film world, and it sounds like you guys have a lot of exciting cinematography stuff and music stuff and just all over the place. Sounds like you guys have a big project ahead of you, but you guys seem really well prepared, and I'm really excited to see it, and I hope that everybody at home is excited to see it too. I know that a lot of families are watching. Hello, Sophie's mom. Hi, Mom. And, well, we have to go back to commercial break because we got to get the other groups in, but stay around, get some food, taquito, I don't know how old you are, maybe a beer, maybe a cigarette. Don't smoke in your house. And stay safe, healthy, love is life. Say hi to Jesus. You got 5 minutes, say a quick prayer. I don't know what you need. But yeah, have fun. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome back. We are now here with the team of Gray Matters, which is a short film adaptation of the Stephen King novel, Gray Matters. And we have the director.
Keenan Wassenberg, the director.
I'm Joseph Graves. I'm the cinematographer and also social media director.
All right.
And I'm Joshua David. I'm the writer.
Joshua David, okay. And so how's the process been for you guys so far, piecing this together from pitch meeting to...
Well, it's been pretty fun. I mean, it's been a lot of work, obviously, getting all these locations. But like we've definitely made some headway, I guess, for it.
Okay.
We've got an actor. But that's a whole process too. But it's been pretty good. I couldn't be happier with the team I have so far. So.
All right, and so the vision, it's obviously based off the short story.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that, like, logline, thematic?
Yeah.
elements?
So we wanted to make it kind of stylized. You know, when Joshua wrote the script, there's a lot of flashback, kind of like there's a lot of puzzly kind of pieces to this film, along with the horror aspects, of course. But it feels like maybe inspired by Memento.
Okay, Memento, so Nolan.
I mean, obviously not inspired by Bird Box because Bird Box came out after, but similar to that of Bird Box, you know.
Yeah.
With that kind of style, and the themes kind of go along with alcoholism, ignorance. You know, when you let a friend. Kind of when do you stop a friend from something that's hurting them? You know, whether that be substance abuse or anything that could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Joshua, for you, along the themes, similar to that or all lined up? Or?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because I think the Stephen King short story, Gray Matter, it wasn't very deep in what it was trying to say. Obviously, I am a much more skilled writer than there wasn't like a lot going on. It was kind of pretty easy to figure out exactly what he was trying to say, and it just didn't resonate with me a lot. So when I wrote the adaptation, I kind of made it way too vague, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense thematically. Like the way I changed the events, it kind of made sense, but thematically, there wasn't really a strong point for it to be on, and so it was kind of working with Keenan that we developed these themes of kind of just ignorance and not knowing what you should do in situations, and also kind of substance abuse, but not so much as yourself, but watching others and kind of being an accomplice in that, and how much are you culpable for what other people do.
Okay, yeah. And then were there any other films that you guys have seen, screenplays that you may have read that inspired you and helped guide you through the process of writing this story? Or?
I mean, absolutely. The number one inspiration was The Shining. That was like huge to me because I just love the horror aspect of it. Is incredible, and Stanley Kubrick's my favorite director, so I wanted to see. I wanted to make something like him. And like along with that, there's Enemy for kind of the confusion. I mean, the puzzle piece of it. Enemy really inspired me. For also along with that, the tone, color. Enemy was something really inspirational for me. It Follows, because I love the horror aspects, and it's very like slow and gradual, and then eventually it's just terrifying in this one moment, and then it's incredible the way they build, and I was really inspired by that.
Okay. Joshua, did you have?
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch a lot of horror or thriller films at all. I get really scared easily. If I'm watching it like with other people, I start screaming a lot, but by myself, I just like turn it off and walk away. So I don't know exactly what would have inspired me for this film.
Hey, well, you got through Haunting of Hill House.
I did. I watched Haunting of Hill House. That was actually phenomenal. That's right. So episode 6 of Haunting of Hill House, I watched it after I wrote the script, but I think that they've got really similar styles and vibes. It's almost like that episode perfectly played out exactly what I was thinking of when I wrote the script before I even watched it. So that was pretty cool. But like everything that Keenan was talking about, I haven't seen any of that, so I don't. No, that's not true. I saw Enemy and I didn't like it.
And then just pivoting to our cinematographer and social media marketing. So for you, you're going to be the one behind the camera helping select the shots and compose the way it's going to look for the final project. What is it that this story links to you? What is it that you connect with?
Yeah, well, I mean, like Keenan says, we've all got inspirations. Obviously, The Shining, amazing visuals like that. It's very intricate in how they do it. It's very particular in all the shots they choose. And cinematography in any story, right, is dependent on the theme 100%. Like the stronger theme you have something to motivate those visuals with. And that's not like some mind-blowing thing, right?
Yeah.
If you have a good story, you're gonna have good visuals because you have something to motivate them with, right? And so for this, it is, you know, working with Keenan, looking at those inspirational visuals that you see in other movies and trying to pick out, okay, what do we have in this scene? What do we have in this moment between these two characters? And then how do we bring it together? And so, you know, we've got Shining, right?
Yeah.
We've got Haunting of Hill House, like Joshua said in that particular episode. It's all, there's like 2 shots in the whole thing. It's like a half hour. Wait, how long are those episodes?
They're about an hour.
Like an hour long. And I think there's like 1 or 3 shots in the whole thing. So it's just like this very theatrical, you know, everything's staged, everything's planned out, but you're taking these really long, fluid shots. And I think that's a big aspect of horror, is you have these lingering shots where you're scared because you don't want to look away. Because normally cuts are like blinking, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the time when you cut between any different angle, it's like you're blinking. It's kind of, it's like mirroring that without actually letting the audience blink, right?
Yeah.
And so without having those blinks in there, those continuous shots like we want to do, we want to have those lingering shots within this film, you're amping up kind of the suspense of, okay, are we going to see something around this corner? What am I looking for? Where am I looking? And then it's almost like you see something that is almost like by accident. And then when you see it, you realize it's there. It's like, oh my gosh, this was there the whole time and I just realized that. And so I think that kind of plays in with the theme. It's not like we're going to be hiding ghosts around like in Haunting of Hill House, but it's similar. It's like you're building up the suspense with these long shots, with these, just the pushing in and the scene, not sure what you're seeing until finally you see something horrific. And it's just all that much more impactful by, you know, really focusing on those like lingering moments.
And then just building that up because you want to look away, but then when you get to that point, you don't look away.
You can't.
You're confronted with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like truth right there.
It's staring you right in the face the whole time.
Exactly.
You never notice it until it's...
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole process, planning that all out. Like Keenan and I have spent hours just going over the script, writing shots and being like, okay, out of the 5 million different ways that we could shoot this, what is like the best way to shoot it? And especially for part of the story, I don't know if you want to talk about like the apartment at all, but we have a set.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll let you talk about that.
So we're building a set for our apartment because we'll be able to manipulate a lot more, like the scenery, and also there's so much set deck that it's just building it is just a lot better than going somewhere and doing it.
Absolutely. Hey, can we just put stuff all over your walls and make it look disgusting?
So with the apartments, we're gonna want to like take out walls and like be able to get these like shots that you wouldn't be able to do at a real apartment.
Standard building.
And it'll be able to feel like it'll feel a lot more intense and a lot more like someone's even watching them, you know, all the time. And that's something that we only can really do with a set in the apartment.
Yeah, so would you say, kind of playing off that thematics of how do you get into the part where you're talking about seeing when do you step in, when do you help? Is visually, are you going for almost like your third eye and you're just watching it, almost kind of like, not specifically paparazzi, but in that similar way where you're trying to watch but you're not there?
The part we were talking about last
night. So kind of the idea of it was like, when someone feels like guilty about something, a lot of the times that guilt is because they feel like people are watching them and they feel like, you know, people know what I've done and I feel bad about it because they know. And like the idea is that this character is like, he feels guilt, but like none of these other characters see why he feels, I mean, he's not showing it because he doesn't want the characters to know that he's guilty of what he's done. And like us watching from the background is like him feeling that guilt. It's people watching him and him getting that guilt from that.
So almost we're the eyes that know and are
exactly
causing the guilt for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And so we want to motivate the camera by like eyes within the room that like don't actually exist, but it's like eyes within the room.
And so that's going to be the moving of the wall, so you can get the camera where the wall was.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of Orson Welles like with.
Citizen
Kane.
Let's just take out the floor. That's what I was saying yesterday. I was like, I want to kind of do some Citizen Kane type stuff here.
So will the floor be intact?
We'll see. You know, we might just have to cut some of it out for part of it. You never know.
All right.
Yeah. So ambitious with the movement of the camera there.
Very.
All right.
Yeah. We're excited about it, though.
I know before we came on the show, you were talking about time era. I know one of the previous projects mentioned that. So what was your take on that?
So the reason a piece of the reason why we chose like the 70s is because obviously Stephen King's like the huge inspiration of this. So, and he has, The Shining was set in the 70s, like a bunch of stuff that he does is set in the 70s. And so I really wanted to get that from him, and also I love the 70s vibe. It's so cool. It's also it's like right after what's it called? Like women's rights. I mean, it's not right after, but like women were a lot more like in place now, and we kind of wanted Betty's character because it wasn't originally a woman, right?
Yeah, there was only men in the original short story, so I changed one of the characters to be a girl.
Yeah, and we wanted to give her like a bigger stage, and just like the 70s vibe might fit better with that too anyway. So.
Okay. And then a question for the cinematographer. As far as pulling off a 70s aesthetic with the shots, what's that going to require for you? Is that going to be mostly set deck?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say is honestly, a lot of that's going to be on set deck. So JP, who isn't here right now, he's going to have like his hands full, But I mean, he can do it, right? He's amazing like at what he does with his art department and all the art deck he does. But like having the set, built out with all the proper lights, all the proper, like whether it's wallpaper that's peeling off or whether it's kind of like the windows being the right design. But combined with that, lighting does play a part. We've got like the more moody, the dark, the dimly lit, like the blue lighting for the apartment. And then we've got like the warmer, tones. And that's not so much era specific, but like just the mood of the story, I think. And so it's really setting the era will be a lot of the set deck and the wardrobe and the costuming and all that. But then it'll be accentuated with the theme of the story by the lighting and by the visuals.
Okay. And I know part of the reason I was asking just because oftentimes 70s projects, like you can tell it's a movie from the 70s just by the way it's shot, the color schemes,
exactly.
Yeah, is any of that going to be going on?
Well, definitely. I think it'll still be the classic kind of trying to go for more of just, not like, I wouldn't just say like a general cinematic, because that doesn't mean anything. We're just saying like, it's going to be cinematic looking. But we're not going to be putting like VHS overlays or like a whole ton of grain. Like we're going to make it look, it's going to be, like the visuals are going to look like they're contemporary and they're using, we're using like the red or we're using like a nice camera. We're not going to just put a whole ton of stuff on it and make it look like it was shot on. Obviously, if we had a film camera, that'd be cool.
But we don't yet.
It's not going to be like a look like it was shot a long time ago.
Okay, yeah. And then just as we're starting to get close to the end of our segment here, do you guys have any social media up, especially?
We do have a lot of social media up. So if you look on, we got a Facebook page, at Gray Matters Film. You can check out our post. We do updates there. We post up like update videos. We've got update posts. We've also got an Indiegogo campaign running, and on that campaign we've got various rewards from like we've got like postcards. So if you get like a certain tier, you can like get a postcard. You can send it to somebody or have it sent to you. Okay. Special credits, journal, prop from a set, just different things. So if you check out the Indiegogo campaign, there's plenty of stuff. We've got more information on there as far as like technical stuff, like where the budget's going.
Do you guys have Instagram at all, or?
We don't. We're not really using that right now. We don't have we don't think it's really conducive to the specific, what we're trying to market. Maybe later, but not right now.
So for the moment, it's just the Indiegogo page. Which
Indiegogo and Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
All right.
Facebook for more update stuff.
Yeah. And then that'll wrap it up for our segment here with Gray Matters. Stick around as we still have the final project of Codename Leto after the break. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's up, guys? I'm Elisa, in case you guys just joined again. If you want to back it up all the way to the beginning and watch it, or if you just want to watch this one and then eventually go back, or if you just don't want to watch the other ones, like if you're Marielle's family and don't really care about the others, so I don't know, you know. Life is beautiful and whack and all that funny stuff. You know how it is. Anyways, I'm sitting here with the group for Codename Leto, not Leto, not like Jared Leto. No one cares about him.
Thank you.
Life is whack. Codename Leto.
Yes.
So can you tell us what is that? What's the story? What's the scoop?
Codename Leto is our senior project. It's an action movie.
Mhm.
It's from the perspective of a high school girl. It's about her mom, and her mom is like your average typical stay-at-home housewife. And Ardsley, her daughter, is really into action movies and superheroes and like powerful women, and she thinks that her mom is really lame. But through a series of bad choices on Ardsley's part, it is revealed that Kathy, her mom, used to be an assassin, and her old assassin team, because of Ardsley's actions, finds out that she's not dead because she faked her death years ago when she became pregnant with Ardsley. And the team comes to kill them, and Kathy has to defend her home and family from her old team.
Wow, wow, full of twist. Life is whack. I continue to say because it fits the story. Also, totally forgot to say, who are you guys? Why don't you guys let the audience know who you are? We can tell that you are the writer if you're going off.
Yeah,
on the story.
I'm Marielle Cuccinelli. I'm the writer and director of Codename Leto.
Yeah. My name's Sophie Flemings. I am the director of photography for Codename Leto.
And I'm James Powers, and I'm the producer.
So exciting, so fun. So now that we know what the story is about, tell us what inspired the story.
Okay, well, there's kind of a dual source of inspiration. Primarily, of course, it's inspired by my own mom. She is a lot like Kathy in the story, minus actually having been an assassin in her past, as far as I know. But Kathy's very much based on her, and sort of the underappreciated awesomeness of Kathy as a person is very much inspired by my mom. And then the other inspiration is just drawn on my own experiences as a high schooler who loves action movies and wishes there were more like women in that field to look up to. And that's very much who Kathy's based on. The main difference is that I always knew my mom was awesome, and Ardsley has to figure that out.
So it sounds like you have a little bit in touch with Ardsley. Would you say that's who you relate to most?
For sure, yeah. Ardsley is an exaggerated version of my high school self, for sure. I also relate a lot to Kathy, sort of vicariously, because I think I'm more in tune with who my mom is as a person than she realizes, and Kathy's very much based on her.
Exciting. What about you two? Which character do you guys relate to the most?
The character I relate to the most is Nate, who is Ardsley's dad, Kathy's husband. In the script, he comes home halfway, like through the movie, and into this fight that's like happening, and sort of just has to jump in and like be ready to go, and then sort of helps Kathy out, and they fight together and stuff. It's really cool. I relate to that because I feel so often like I'm just sort of thrown into things and I have to just be ready to like go. Especially like with this project. So that's just cool. I just really relate to him.
Fun. What about you, James?
And for me, I think I'd actually say that, I mean, all the characters bring something, unique, but I feel like I also really relate to Ardsley, maybe for a somewhat different reason. So, as Marielle was saying, Ardsley's a girl who's very much sort of looking at not a fantasy world exactly, but she's into, superheroes and action heroines and stuff, and she kind of wants this life that is bigger and better than the one she's living. And then come to find out, that her real life actually already has so much going on in it. That's kind of one of the big sort of thrusts of the story. I don't know, and I know for myself it's easy sometimes to kind of be like looking off to the future, like, oh, things are going to be, so much different when I'm, in 15 years when I've finally got all my crap together or whatever. And then it's like, well, actually, if you look at where you are right now, it's pretty cool. And so, yeah, I'd say identify with her probably the most.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this is the...
This is Ardsley.
Yeah, this is, what do you call it?
Concept art.
Concept art.
Plug for my sister Reagan's amazing artistic abilities. She did all of our concept art. This is like a quick sketch that she did.
That's really good. Well, shout out to Marielle's sister for...
This is Nate.
Being super bomb.
Ardsley's dad. And then
2 modes.
The other one that was floating around here a second ago is Kathy, who's obviously our central character. These are the assassins, Kathy's old team. Eris, Phoebe, Celine, and Maya, also drawn by my sister. Yeah.
How exciting, how fun. Well, the way that you guys are talking about the characters seems like you guys really have different perspectives on the story. Why are each of you like in this story? What is your emotional connection to the story?
I mean, for me, I think that is pretty evident from everything I've said, but it's a story very close to my heart, both because it's very much based on my mom, who I love a lot, and also just on things I really care about. Like, sort of a theme of it is that being a mother and homemaker is like awesome, and it's not disempowering at all, which is something that I've sort of had to like mentally come to the conclusion of, because I love women in action, and like I'm definitely headed to be someone who has a career over possibly, being definitely over being someone.
You want to throw some more adjectives in there real quick?
I've always been more oriented toward having a career than being someone who's going to be staying at home, but at the same time, that's not something to be like thought of as lesser. I mean, this movie's very much about it not being lesser, and also the two things not being mutually exclusive. Yeah.
What about you, Sophie?
Yeah, so the draw for me to this story is definitely...
Can I talk about this concept art for a second?
Yeah,
Sorry.
No,
This is also by my sister Reagan. This is Ardsley's fictional superhero, who she like super admires and like compares her mother to. Her name's Ace Dauntless. And Ardsley has her stuff plastered like all over the place. She's got like Ace Dauntless t-shirts and pins and backpacks. And
then she finds out her mom's even cooler than that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, this is the standard we're comparing Kathy.
Yeah.
So Marielle approached me with the script, and well, for one, it's just a lot of fun. I really love it. But yeah, there's a lot to be said about moms. Moms are awesome and great and super underappreciated, my mom especially, and in my life especially. And so it just feels really good, and it's very exciting to be able to spend some time dedicating like a whole piece to like motherhood and all the cool things about it, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're an action heroine or anything in between. That's something to be celebrated, and that is really, really cool.
Seeing the beauty of motherhood, but from a different perspective, the action, cool, badass side. Because moms are badass, we just don't get to see it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep. James, go off.
You said
Why
it.
are you here?
Moms are badass. But no, I think like one thing that I really liked about this story from the get-go was that, it's an action movie, but it also, I mean, even an action film, any good one is going to have like a strong emotional core. But like, what's fun about this one is that like again, like the others have been saying, it sort of has that emotional core comes from a place you really wouldn't expect, namely like motherhood, family. I'm trying to think of like previous films, that kind of do something a little bit like this, and I'm like, I don't know, Spy Kids, but like even that, is like this is going to be completely different from something like that, and so it's a very unique kind of juxtaposition, but I think the script pulls it off really, really nicely.
Yeah, well, we've been talking a lot about your off-brand Spy Kids story. Let's talk a little bit more about the production side of it. Like, what are you guys most excited for in the whole process, whether it's pre, during, or post-production?
I'm excited about so much about this project. It's definitely my favorite thing I've ever written.
Yeah.
But one specific thing is the fight choreography. I've been choreographing fights for movies since I started here at this school. And I'm really excited to choreograph all the fight scenes. Over my time here, I've kind of found a team of people who love doing the same, and we are going to be choreographing this together. And then we're going to be rehearsing it and teaching it to the actors and rehearsing with them and pre-vising it with Sophie, and I'm really excited.
I can tell it's just bursting out.
Yeah, I'm also super hyped for the fight choreography. Something really awesome about the script is that it's obviously very emotional. It's a character-driven story, but it has that fight aspect. So for me, with camera, my job is to bring out the fullness of the story and also shoot it so it looks cool. So there's a lot of challenges there. And I haven't done a lot of action before this, so Marielle and I have been working like really hard to develop that skill set between the two of us. And all of our pre-visualization work is going to help a lot with that. But it's a fun challenge, and it's really cool, and I'm just hyped to make it happen.
Yeah.
I think for me, well, there are two things. One is very much in pre-production, the other one's in post. One thing, again, that kind of drew me to this story was how its themes can really speak to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And kind of in view of that, one thing we're kind of trying to do with our fundraising campaign is to sort of reach out to various groups, because there's a lot of, for example, like, women in film, women in action, a lot of different groups in Hollywood and outside of Hollywood that really speak to a lot of the themes that are in this film. And so I am very curious to kind of like test out, like getting in touch with these groups and just sort of letting them know that we're here, and hopefully tapping into some broader networks, a broader community.
Yeah.
And secondly, in post, I'm a big fan of music. I'm looking forward to working with music. My brother actually is a composer. He's going to be working with us on that, so we're both nerds about it. It's going to be fun.
I'm excited for some original scores, is what it sounds like
Me
coming
too.
our way.
It is, yeah.
You've done a lot of projects. How does this one stand out? What makes this one different?
I mean, I've been making action movies since I started at this school, like I said, but this is sort of what it's all been building toward. I've been growing as a writer, a director, and a choreographer, and all of that is sort of in preparation for this movie. And this is also probably my favorite script I've ever written, so it stands out for me in a lot of ways.
Well, it sounds like you guys are totally prepared and like at least getting there. You guys have a lot of experience. It sounds like filming is going to be a lot of fun, and the whole production process is going to be a fun time overall that you guys have it planned out. I'm excited to see what kind of shots you come up with, way you really tell this story. It sounds like really interesting and great discovery of motherhood and the relationship between a daughter and a mother and that whole family dynamic. Where can we keep up with this story? Can we help donate money or anything like that?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you just search us on Facebook, Codename Leto, or just facebook.com/Codename Leto. That's us. You'll also find us on Instagram under the same handle, Codename Leto. And then we will have an Indiegogo campaign up and running within the next couple days, actually. So for sure, if this sounds like a story that appeals to you, dear viewers out there, any little bit helps. I mean, this comes from all sorts of different sources, and it takes a lot to make a movie happen, but $5, $10, $20, every little bit helps.
$100. A nickel, we don't know.
Yeah, or $100, I mean, we will take whatever. But just so keep an eye open for that campaign. It'll be dropping, in the next couple days.
Sounds like a really fun time and super exciting. Yeah. Excited to see it on the big screen at senior screenings.
Me too.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming in. We're going to take another short break, and then we're going to hit you guys up with some more information, so don't go away. But you guys can obviously go and have lunch or whatever it is you guys want to do.
Well, thank you.
And go ahead and have fun. We'll see you back in a minute.
All right, thank you for joining us, guys. Codename Leto was the last of our presentations for today, last segment.
Last one of the series.
Last one of the series for today. There we go. Words. And then we're on camera 3. So if you guys would like to join us later, we will have the showcase. Is that going to be broadcast live? No? No, not yet.
What? Or I don't know what you're going
The
off
improv?
on. I'm going to take over now. So we have a couple of things to plug for you guys. Guys and Dolls is going to be next week coming up. If you're a JP Catholic student or if you have an old ID and you can sneak in if you look young enough, Monday and Tuesday is going to be a preview night, which means it's free for anybody with a JP Catholic student ID. I don't know about the teachers, sorry. If you do have to pay, I'm sorry. Later tonight is going to be an improv show, which I'm the captain of. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:45. So if you're feeling frisky and you're free, come on down. Even if there's nobody here, we're still going to be going off. And I think this went well. So if you guys think that this also went well, go down in the comments below. Let us know if you guys want to see this for the acting practicums, because I know there's about like 8 acting students that are going to be graduating, and I'd love to see what they're doing, Nick being one of them. Yeah, let us know in the comments also which senior project that you guys are most excited for, having learned all this information about them and all the wonderful stuff that they've done.
Yep, thank you for joining us once again. For the last time, I'm Nicholas Pape, and this is...
I'm Elisa Litke, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us.
If there is a next time.